Welcome to Hoovies Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube and also the home of several never-ending projects, never-ever-ending projects. And if you're looking for updates on my latest, newest projects, say the cheap Alpina B7, the engine hasn't been torn apart yet. It isn't even out of the car, but that's supposed to happen towards the end of this week. And if you're wondering about my cheap Lamborghini Murcielago, if that's even started yet, it hasn't. We're still waiting on the computer to be able to talk to the transmission, to clutch the whole car, and make sure that all works before we tear the car all apart, because then when we put it back together, it'd be pretty pointless if we can't program the new clutch. But there is one car that is finally as close to finished as a project car can be, and that's this 1992 Mercedes 500e that I probably shouldn't have messed with in the first place. But 1 year later and close to double what I originally paid for the car, it's pretty close to done, but it's never ever going to be done. But let's go over everything that I've done with this car, starting with why I bought it. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with my 1992 Mercedes 500e, or you've just forgotten about it, which is understandable. I've forgotten that I've owned this car multiple times because it's been gone for so long, but this is actually a very special car. It may not look like much, but this car was built in a special collaborative effort between Mercedes and Porsche. Mercedes has been building this body for years, but they hadn't quite figured out how to stuff a V8 in their midsize sedan. And Porsche, they were doing a lot of this at their factory in their engineering department, so Mercedes sent them some work to help Porsche from going bankrupt, and they figured out how to stuff a V8 in this midsize sedan. They also figured out that Mercedes couldn't assemble the cars in-house because they made the car wider. It has flared fenders on the front and the back, so they actually built the body at Mercedes, then sent it to Porsche for more assembly, then back to Mercedes, and then back to Porsche. Went back and forth several times between both factories, but then was completed in Porsche's idled 959 assembly line. They only made a few thousand of these to great expense, so it is a very special car. It's like a pre-Porsche Panamera or an early version of a Mercedes muscle sedan, something they're well known for today. Now, the original owner of this car is actually a pretty famous local billionaire, Charles Koch, and he sold it to one of his executives not long after he purchased it, and that person drove it as a normal car for decades until he parked it for a while as the issues began to pile up. And during that time, this 500e went from a normal used car to a pretty sought-after collectible. Then I came in, I bought it for $10,000 and realized quickly how many issues this thing had with only 111,000 miles on it. My last video with this car back in June referred to Mercedes' reliability as a total myth, but it really is kind of. These are really well-built cars, but they're just as susceptible to age and wear as any other car. But why they last so long mostly has to do with the owners. The owners pay a lot of money for these cars, so they're more willing to put money into keeping them and keep them for longer. And people who buy them cheap like me know that they used to be expensive special cars, so we're dumb enough to keep putting money into them to keep them running. And that's exactly what I did, despite knowing full well that by the time I was done sorting out this car, I was going to be very, very upside down in it. So let's go over all the things I've done to fix it so far. I've just had the car detailed, so I'm still in awe on how the interior came out. And look how pretty it is, these bucket seats. Look at the wood, 111,000 miles on this thing, and it is in very nice shape in here. So let's pop the hood. One thing I love about this chassis is the little quirks that it has, like the mirrors. On the driver's side, it's one shape. The passenger side, it's a completely different shape for increased visibility. And then look at this giant mono wiper here. The entire wiper arm has a mechanism that makes it swipe across the entire windshield in one motion. It's just too cool. But let's pop the hood. Here it is. Not really that detailed up, but much better. When I originally bought it, it was misfiring badly, but that was just a simple tune-up. I was lucky because the biodegradable wiring harness that these cars are known for had already been replaced. It was also leaking quite a bit of coolant, but that was only the radiator. Two things that weren't that big of a deal, but there were other serious issues. The transmission, it would slip going into reverse. That was a complete rebuild, $2,600, and there was a noise in the rear end. So the rear differential had gone bad as well. 111,000 miles, we lost the transmission, we lost the rear differential. Mercedes quality. I'm a diehard Mercedes guy, but still, I mean, come on. So only 111,000 miles on this thing, and the transmission was gone, the rear differential was gone, the engine was misfiring, the wiring had fallen apart on the previous owner, and who knows what he did to keep it running for the last couple of decades. That is a lot of things to break for only 111,000 miles, but it is an older car. It's almost 30 years old. And all these repairs took me a year because I had to go around 3 different mechanics. Started with the Wizard for the initial sorting, then the transmission rebuild took forever. And then the final process, the rear differential, I had done at Johnny's. So I bought this 500E for $10,000 and I've sunk another $7,000 or $8,000 into it, and I'm not quite done yet. There's still some things that bother me with this car a lot that I have to fix, and it's starting with this. I think the previous owner wanted to fly a little under the radar, didn't want a big ostentatious hood star, so he put this badge delete here. I really want the hood star back on the hood. Also, it'd be great if I could find a new grille entirely because this is all dented. The egg crate is broken. Another thing that's really bothering me is inside the car, this air vent here, it's completely broken. It's missing its side piece to where all of this just sticks out, and it's really an eyesore for an otherwise very nice interior. And the final thing that really makes this car look like a hoopty is this antenna with electrical tape holding it together. So while this car will never ever be perfect, nowhere close to perfect, and it will continue to get worse and break some more, I'm going to try to get it as close as I can, get it that much closer to being a nice car. And so I'm going to go to the junkyard today and dig around on other old Mercedes that people had given up on and hopefully find some of these parts, a grille, a vent, and an antenna, and then put them in myself, do my own little bit of wrenching here. Wish me luck. Well, here we are a year later. I finally have a nice driving Mercedes 500E. 342 horsepower V8. Definitely gets up and moves, but I could have just bought a nice one in the first place for what I have invested in it now and not had to wait a year, which is what it took to sort this car out. But now that it's finished, I guess I can take some credit for bringing this car back from the edge and having some satisfaction from it, but since I really didn't do much of any of the work myself, really I just paid people to do it, so what does that make me? Just an idiot, really. But this last little bit, I'm going to try and do myself. Surely I can pull off a grille and a vent and an antenna. I know I can. And then this car will look much nicer, much less like a hoopty and more like the way it drives, which is very nice. All right, here we are at Euroasian Auto Inc. My friend Bob has owned this business for more than 20 years. It's operated as some kind of automotive service place since the 1920s, and he sold me this 500E along with numerous other cars. There's some of my former cars back here, a lot of Mercedes parts. It really is a treasure trove. Let's go take a look. Bob is method acting. Good job. You're pretending to be on your computer when I just walked in. Actually working. Hello, Bob.
What's going on, Tyler?
How are you?
Mr. Hoovie, what's happening?
Well, I need some parts. The final stuff on this 500E, this grenade that you threw on me a year ago.
Oh, man. Grenade!
It's nice now. It's really nice.
It's
but
looking really nice.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah. I need a grill. I want the hood star back on it again.
Yes, yes.
Also, one of the air vents is all cracked up, and then the antenna, it's held together by electrical tape. It looks awful. It doesn't look right on a car now that it's so nice. So hopefully, you've got a few 124 chassis parts cars out there, right?
Oh yeah. You know, my love of 124s goes very deep. You know, that's why I bought that car that I didn't even get to drive because somebody showed up at my house and took the keys.
Yeah.
But you've done a great job with it. But so follow me here, and I will point you in the right direction for parts, sir.
A lot of hoopties. People have given up here. Like this poor SL right here. Yeah.
Nothing,
oh, hello there.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
What?
Nothing to see here.
So what's the story on this thing, Bob? It's a very early Z28.
This is a 93, first year Z28. Basically a garage find. It is absolutely, absolutely mint showroom condition. This is how, I haven't even touched this car. This is how I took it out of the garage yesterday.
So does it run?
It hasn't been started in probably 10 years. So
really?
When
was the last time it was tagged?
Let's see.
2010.
You're here to see Mercedes parts,
yeah,
right?
Well,
Mercedes parts, right?
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
right.
But,
Let me change the subject here. Let's here. You just go. You go now.
Okay.
You go now.
They're that way. The parts.
That way. You go that way.
All right. We'll table this, and I'll come back to it.
Let me put the car cover back on this thing for you. Get any crazy ideas.
Well, should I buy a barn find Z28 that hasn't ran in 10 years? It sounds like a lot of fun. But Bob, he's always had a lot of interesting cars. You can see an E30 up here right now, getting something major pulled out of it. Got a E-Wagon and a Zuzu V-Across, an old coupe, XC70. It's just a lovely room of death back here. It's kind of sad. And this is actually the Lincoln that I made a video of, the $200 one that I drove to its grave, which was right here. It still hasn't moved. It would probably start right up and actually move under its own power. But let's go look at Mercedes. This is the wrong generation. It's too old and too big. That's a Saab. That's even older. Here's our first 124. But this is a 94 or 95 because it has the different grille. It's not all one piece with the hood star mounted to it, so that would not work. But let's look at the inside. Maybe it has what I need vent-wise. Oh, yeah. That'll do just fine. Only 156,000 miles on this thing and it's dead. Marlboro Blacks. Yeah, how about the antenna? Yeah, that antenna looks to be in pretty good shape too. Since it's down, it probably works, so we can definitely make use of that as well. Let's keep hunting around for a grill. Maybe we'll get lucky. So many cars are front end impacts, so it's kind of hard to find that, but I will keep looking. Big old 140S class. Look at that. A Beetle on top of a 450 SEL. Oh. And then here's one of my old cars. I bought this on the reality show. It was a Houston flood car. I wanted to see what it was like to buy a Houston flood car. It was a total disaster. So it's being parted out. Look at this stripped out S-Class with a Range Rover underneath it. That's unbelievable. And an Opel GT and a 944 E320 on top of a 7 Series, but I'm not seeing any more early 90s E-Classes. Seeing lots of other things that are interesting, but no E-Classes. Look, another Opel GT. Yeah. Oh, here's one. But once again, it's that 94, 95 grill, so this will not work for me. It's missing the hood star anyway. Huh. Man, a Euro 500 SE, 525 wagon. There's so many neat cars in here that shouldn't have died, but I'm striking out on the grill, sadly. But at least I found 2 out of 3 items I need. I can probably find the grill on eBay or something, so I'll pull those parts off and then get home and we'll put them back on. Mercedes does a very good job of hiding their clips and screws to where you can't see them with the naked eye. They hide them under things or they're clipped and pushed in. And this vent is clipped in as well. You can see deep in there these little clips that hold this thing in. You push them in with a screwdriver and then it should pull out. But being almost 30-year-old plastics, they usually break. So fingers crossed. All right, I'm defeated. I'm watching a video where it involves removing the instrument cluster and all kinds of things to get this stupid little vent off. And I'm not gonna do that. Have somebody else take it off and then come back for it later and then have the wizard or somebody else put it on because I'm completely inept. So we'll move on to the antenna. This is why I never work on cars. Now this looks a lot more straightforward here. Just a couple of 10mm bolts holding in the antenna. Fairly straightforward. There's also this little top thing to unscrew. I've done this before, so surely I can do it again. Please. It's weird, somebody left flowers in here. Like they were doing a funeral for this car. And would you look at that? I am not a complete moron. The antenna is off. All the grommets in place. Nothing broken. So, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Yes! I am a man again. Very good. So I will go buy this thing and then put it in my 500E so it doesn't have a sad elephant trunk looking antenna anymore. A proper power antenna. As I walk up front, there's that Camaro again. The last thing I need is another project, but oh man. Holy moly. It's like brand new. And the floor mats have floor mat protectors. Well, I'm back home in the garage and I have this side panel off so I can look at the antenna. This has already been a replacement. The power antenna must have got caught in a car wash or something and they opted to replace it with this rubber thing that has since broken as well. So replacing it with the proper original power antenna is exactly what I wanted to do. But we have a problem. This is from a 1995 E-Class, the exact same car, but apparently in 1992, somewhere between there, 92 and 95, they had different plugins for the power antennas. So this one will do absolutely nothing because I can't get power to it. Maybe if I go back to the salvage yard to that 1995 car and I snip off the plug on that side, wire it into this one, then it could possibly work, but that's way out of my realm of skill, so the wizard will need to do that, which means I've completely wasted a day and accomplished basically nothing, absolutely nothing, which is typical. But I'm ready to start driving this 500e and enjoying it, and once something else breaks, I guess I'll have that fixed along with these little things. Thank you for watching, and sorry, I'm a complete moron, but you already knew that.